minutes on here?
Yeah, the December minutes. And Kathy has the minutes for the public and our meeting, so you might.
Yeah, I emailed them to everybody.
Yes, I did get those.
Okay, looks like we're ready to start. Thank you, Seth. All right, so we're going to start our February meeting of the Transportation Public Facilities. Review of the minutes. We have the minutes from December here. And the January meeting minutes were emailed, correct? Okay. So we're going to need a motion to accept the December minutes. So I'm accepting a motion for the December minutes as myself and Councilman Moskowitz. You were at that meeting in December.
Yes.
Good, then you can make a motion. I was not there.
Okay, I'll make the motion to accept the December minutes.
Thank you. Second for that, please. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay. And then we have the minutes from our meeting in January. Motion to accept those minutes, please. I'll make a motion to accept those minutes. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. We got the minutes done. Attendance-wise for this meeting, we have myself, we have Councilman Moskowitz, we have Ray Smith, we have Matt Yetto, we have Beth Greenwood, Michelle Martinelli, Elena Finnan, Kathy, and Andrew, right?
Dan.
Dan, I'm sorry, and Dan.
And the people.
And the people on the screen, Pete Ravicka, Janet Wynn, the supervisor, Jamie Pucciano, Laura Robertson. And we have one member of the public, it looks like Roy Thornton. Okay. Ray, why don't you go ahead and get started?
Do you want to see if Mr. Thornton has
Yeah,
anything?
I guess so, yeah, we could do it. Mr. Thornton, we'll do privilege of the floor if you'd like to speak. Mr. Thornton, we can't hear you, sir. Seems like we got a little bit of a problem with Mr. Thornton's audio. Up, there we go. Nope, you're off again, sir. I think you're muted, Mr. Thornton. No, we still can't hear you. Try to unmute your mic, sir.
It's going to be on the bottom part of your screen, all the way to the left. Looks like a little microphone. It should be red right now. If you click it, we'll be able to hear you.
All right, I guess we'll have to go back to that because Mr. Thornton seems to be having some technical difficulty. If you do get yourself unmuted, please let us know, Mr. Thornton. We'll go back to that, Ray. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, we'll start with number 2, highway crews. Crews working on trees, resident request list, hot boxes.
Microphone on. Thank you.
Okay, crews will be working on trees, resident request list, hot boxes out patching potholes. Things like today, the guys are out clearing off catch basins on the corners of the road because of the excessive rain from this storm to try to get the water off the road to alleviate freezing tonight in the cold temperatures. This is kind of the typical work we do this type of year. Uncover catch basins that are off the edge of the road and stuff like that. So, personnel, highway and parks fully staffed. Number 4, Christmas tree pickup. The crews were out and continued to pick up trees like a week after. Been out this month canvassing the town. We are also, in case people didn't get them out or had them in their garage or whatever, if you want to call the highway department, we're kind of compiling a list of anybody who didn't take advantage of it that month. And, when we get, 8, 10 trees, we'll send a small truck out to pick them up and do that as well. But we did collect quite a few. So
The majority of the pickup is completed at this
Yes,
point, so you need to call if you want to get your tree picked up.
yeah, if you just didn't get it out or you're late doing it, we'll accommodate you to a certain effect. Number 5, parks crews, still been working in the parks trail system, clearing brush amongst, they've been out quite a bit with the snow and ice, doing the sidewalks and making sure that the rec center is open for our residents. Along with on super cold days, sub-zero days, we work in the shop. We maintain a lot of the equipment that we use over the summer, any major repairs, or even as far as doing oil changes and sharpening blades so that we're ready to go first thing in the spring. Typical work, weather accordance, what we can do and what we can't do. So we try to utilize every day. Number 6, highway garage. The crews work changing blades on our plow blades. This is a common thing. We use a double-sided blade, so once one side is wore, we can flip it over, replace the shoes. As such as any emergency vehicle, we consider our trucks emergency vehicles. They are gone through every time they go out. They're washed, they're greased. All the lights have gone through. Anything mechanical is addressed. So this is an ongoing thing throughout the winter. And, the guys do a good job. We do it all in-house. So that this is a common practice that we do. Along with other small projects around the highway, clean and organizing sign room. We got some small little repair projects going around the building that we do in-house. We'll be looking at doing some flooring in the offices, and we'll be doing that in-house as well. So painting, cleanup, such stuff like that is all done in-house. Same thing. When the weather's super cold, and we'll send a small crew out on the road to address resident issues, and the other guys will be working on this type of stuff. Number 7, items that we'll be looking to go out to bid. We would like board approval to go out to bid on these items. I've talked to Elena. We're putting all the current bid packets together, and I'm going to have Elena look all these over, make any type of adjustments. These are kind of standard bid documents that we've been using for years, and I just want to make sure that our liabilities are up, that our language is up to par for these times. Elena has agreed to review all these, make any additional comments or changes to these. So we will seek approval by the board to go out for this stuff. We'll get it out first thing next month in the paper. We'll have a bid opening mid-month, and hopefully for opening at next month's board meeting, so that we'll be fully set in our ways and contact with whatever contractors it is for a spring start. So there's not a lot of time ahead of us, but I think it's enough time to visit all these new vendors. Obviously, if we get new vendors, we want to go over our procedures and what's expected. So that gives us a little time to do just that.
Right, because if you get a different low bid than the
Yeah.
vendor you've been using, you have to go over what you.
I can go over these if you want, or,
No, that's okay.
okay. Number 8, town board approval. These are rollover paving bid extensions. We had this is the 3rd year of that's in that contract is 3 years. They're eligible to roll over at the same price, hold their prices. And we have notices out to all the people that were on that bid sheet, and we're receiving them back. So this is just basically accepting that the vendors were willing to do so. In light of talking to a lot of the vendors, paving vendors and such, some good news in this is it looks as if our CHIPS money, Pave New York, and your winter recovery monies are going to be very strong, if not higher this year than in previous years. And that has a lot to do with infrastructure and the government giving back to the town. So that definitely helps us replenish the money that we put forth. You know, we have a very healthy paving budget, so that helps us recover a lot of out-of-pocket stuff. So that's all positive news. It
It
still
is.
has to be voted on and stuff, but the signals show that the government is going to invest in our infrastructure and stuff like that. So that's all good news.
That is good news.
Um,
I know that the clerk wanted to speak about the yard waste fees.
yeah, that's the clerk and the board that decides that.
Right, but you came to the meeting because you wanted to speak about that, correct? Okay.
The fees have already been established by the board.
Right.
There's no change in the fees this year. I did email you the changes that were going to be on the yard waste bill this year. My office, Michelle Zurich, Michelle Carroll, and I have worked with Seth to come up with an easier way for our residents to opt out of the yard waste by using a QR code. And as long as Seth can get that up and running by the time the bills go out, you can scan the QR code and it'll bring you right to the website to opt out of it. And then it'll be a little bit easier for our residents. They don't have to come in, they don't have to mail the form. They do still have the option of the opt-out being on the back of the yard waste bill.
And how is that kept track of?
Seth has that going into a sheet that we would then be able to look at weekly and make sure it's put into our system.
And then you'll be getting that information over to the highway department.
Correct. That information all has to be to us by March 15th, anybody opting out. And then we create a list for the highway department and they know what houses to go through and mark for not being picked up.
Okay.
And we have to unmark ones from the previous year.
Correct.
Obviously, because
Because
some
some people.
opt
in.
out, some opt back in, so they're
With new
very,
owners, coming in, they might want to opt in.
I have to give them a compliment of how easy they make it for us. They do a great job at
Thank
keeping
you.
track, and
Mhm.
even the ones that decide to opt back in, very efficient. They do a very well job and make our job very easy.
Yeah,
And that could
Michelle-
happen mid-year with somebody, ownership changing.
They do
or
it
Yeah, we
whatever.
do that
seamlessly.
too.
They do a great job.
And Michelle are just phenomenal about making sure that's all in order. This year, my goal is to get the yard waste bills in the mail by February 11th, which is next Friday. I have a meeting with Mailworks, who does the mailing for us on Monday. So hopefully that'll all go out on Friday. That gives us, the residents, a month to opt out of the bill.
Right, to either pay the bill
Pay the,
or opt out
no,
of the
to
bill.
opt out,
Opt out.
because the bill actually doesn't have to be paid until September 15th.
Okay, this is
It's
just to
not-
opt out then,
Yes, if it's not paid by September 15th, then it goes on to
the
their
tax.
tax bill, January of 2023.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you.
thank you.
And just the second part of my acceptance thing was accept the quotes for the seed fertilizer, hydro mulch, and some services, which would be the applications on athletic fields if we so choose to.
Mm-hmm.
That's an option, but we always have this on file and ready to go.
Okay,
And the maintenance of our pond, Blatnick Pond, that's been an ongoing thing. So that's what that is. So those are just quotes because it's under our threshold. So we don't really need to go out to bid for that type of stuff.
right.
And number 9, open discussion. If anybody has anything that we need to move forward on or.
Well, I
look
see that
into.
Mr. Thornton is back on the screen now. I know you had some trouble earlier, Mr. Thornton, so we're open. The floor is open for discussion. Mr. Thornton, if you could unmute.
Bill,
I,
there he goes.
Thank you.
do you hear me this time?
Yes,
Okay, great. Also just sent a message on chat, but I want to thank you all for considering modifying your mowing practice on the large part of the landfill cap. Last year, a large part was left unmowed, which I'm sure benefited both the nesting bobolinks and grassland birds and the pollinators. I also have continued to gather support. I've got more than 30 people now who are interested in this modification. And a quick question, what are your thoughts and concerns about modifying your mowing practices in this way?
yes.
I'm not sure.
Okay, Mr. Thornton. So one of the concerns, and it really needs to go through a couple different committees, is the use of the disc golf course. The maps that you sent were very good, identifying how both could work together. We did have some challenges last year with, you actually benefited from our equipment being broke down, but your initial maps that you sent, utilizing both areas is a pretty good option. So that is not solely my decision to do that. So we will need to meet with some other committees to decide just what, in fact, we mow and don't mow, or if there's options of moving things around there to further utilize that. So, and identify other areas. So, from a mowing standpoint, there's a couple different ways of looking at it. I know you said it's less time that we spend up there on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. But there is a difference between mowing 4 foot at a time and 16 foot at a time. So, but either or can be achieved. So, like I say, that's not my decision to make. It's needed further discussion, and I think there can be a good outcome to it for everybody. So it's just some discussions we need to have, and I just wanted to say thank you for sending me all that information that you sent me.
You're very welcome. I did find out that the county, Schenectady County, mows a section of grassland up near the Glenville home. And they mow it, I guess, once a year. There's a chance that they might have equipment that's more suitable to mowing that tall grass. I imagine you have an acquaintance on the county highway department.
I certainly do. I work with them on a lot of different levels, so I will reach out to them and get some information on that.
Great. And mowing could be done instead of down to the 6 inches, which you've done with the gang mowers, to 10 or 12 inches, which might relieve the strain on your equipment. That's about all I've got.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Does anybody else have anything for our open discussion? I see Laura's here.
I just have one. Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, sorry. This just tags on to what Roy was talking about because we had a Conservation Advisory Council meeting last night. And Roy was discussing the mowing, but the Conservation Advisory Council is still trying to finalize the low mow initiative in Blatnick Park. So we noted that our next steps are voting on the sign, getting a budget for purchasing the sign. I can't remember if we did a resolution for the Lomo at Blatnick Park or not. Ray, do you remember that?
I don't know that we did a resolution. I know there was many discussions and it was accepted that
Okay.
we
So-
were going to move forward with that, with your identified area.
With the map, the final map that we had.
Yep, and I know you did a lot of legwork in the neighborhoods and
Yeah.
was pretty much accepted by the people around that area. So I think
Yeah, we
everything's
met with the residents a couple of times. One of the things which I think I might have mentioned the last time was that the residents wanted to see if there were ways that we could not just have it be grass growing back. And so the Schenectady County Soil and Water guy that helped us plant the trees on Dean Street offered to help plant wildflowers this spring if we were interested. So it might just be like, if Ray, if you're pretty comfortable with the way we were moving forward, just me and you having a meeting real quick to make sure that we've got everything ready to go for this spring.
what was that?
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of up to you, but the Schenectady County Soil and Water guy, Nick Komenzik, called me yesterday and he said that Schenectady County is trying to do these initiatives, countywide. And one of the things the residents had said is they would like to see more than just grass growing long in that area, which is one of the reasons that the CAC transplanted a bunch of the flowers from Kelt's Farm over to that area last fall. So it's kind of up to you, but if you were interested and it made sense and he could do it and it would help the residents feel better about the tall grass, would be he can come with some of his own equipment and plant wildflowers in that long grass area.
Okay, does the county have wildflower mix, or is that something we would look through one of our vendors?
It sounded like he had all of it because it's one of their it's one of like the priorities that the Soil and Water Conservation District does, but I could double check that and make sure.
I will follow up with them as well. Maybe it's something we can get when we do our spring flower order.
Yeah, because you did get some for me last spring, remember?
Yeah, well, that was a small amount, but maybe we can see if they have it in a broader range.
And when I was talking to him about that, he said that the perennials last year were a little bit iffy and they're going to work harder on them this year.
Right. So,
So
all right, we'll follow up with them as spring comes.
Okay, thanks, Ray.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mr. Thornton. I see you raised your hand.
Yes, it occurred to me that at some point, the major landfill cap may have to be recontoured. There's sunken spots and so on. And if that's done when the ground is bare in those repaired areas, they could be planted with wildflower mixes at that time.
That's something we could coordinate with the highway department if we do need to do any grading on the site. Right now, I don't think we have anything that's of immediate attention, but if we do, we can keep that in mind.
Okay. Councilman Moskowitz.
I just had one item for Ray from Community Programs. Lori wanted me to express her appreciation to you, Ray, and the crews for helping her remove the lights from the Christmas tree in the gazebo.
Okay. Open discussion. Anybody else have anything? All right, seeing nothing, then we will close Transportation and Public Facilities meeting. I'm not certain about the next meeting. I have a conflict for March 3rd, but I have not talked to the supervisor's office about the possibility of moving our meeting to Wednesday AM. But I'm going to have to look into that. Otherwise, it'll stay at Thursday unless I can get us changed to Wednesday for our next meeting. But we'll send out a email about that. Okay. I'm assuming we can go right into your meeting. It's pretty close to 8:30, right? Good. All right. You have minutes also, or minutes and agenda?
Yes, I want to thank Kathy for putting these together. We have minutes from last meeting. They were emailed out. And also, is there anyone that needs an agenda?
I'd like a hard copy, please. I get it on my phone, but it's easier to read it with a hard copy. Thank you. Jason, you got one?
Thank you. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, we're going to use the same attendance for the prior meeting. All right, and then we need to review and approve the committee minutes, the meeting minutes from our January meeting. So we can accept a motion for those minutes which were emailed out to everyone.
We can make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Could I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. So we approve the minutes. Very good. All right, Matt.
So I don't have an area specifically for open discussion, but we can do that now if there's anyone from the public that would like to discuss anything water and sewer related.
I don't
Okay.
see anybody virtually or in person.
All right, thank you. Just before we start, I wanted to thank Councilman Moskowitz. He came and visited the water and sewer garage and also the wastewater plant. And I enjoyed taking him around and showing him all the hard work that our staff is doing. And anytime anyone would like to come visit, we're always open. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You brought donuts.
You got the grand tour. That's good.
I did.
So water and sewer items. Admin engineering. Just an update on our COVID-19 response. Last month, we had multiple people out with COVID-related issues. That currently have all returned, and we have no cases at this time. We continue to follow our protocols that we put in place, masks, social distancing as much as possible, and other day-to-day steps that they should be taking to avoid exposure. Number 3, attorney's items. Pierce Road sewer extension. We have an update on that, Elena? Thank you.
So with the Pierce Road sewer extension update, there was discussion that after the resolution was passed last year establishing this district, that the numbers for the cost of the project had changed. So we actually need to go back basically to square one as far as petitioning the neighbors and moving forward and doing a public hearing and a new resolution based on the new numbers. And that will also involve a repeal of the resolution that was passed last year, because if we don't repeal it, then those houses stay in a district that's not where the infrastructure work hasn't been done. So we need to repeal that. I've been talking with Matt. I mean, I think we're in a position where we can pretty much get the ball rolling quickly on it. We just need to finalize the numbers and then reach out to the residents. But the residents have been, in contact with us. So I think it's a process that we can move along much quicker this time than in the past.
Okay.
Any questions on it? Whitmire Drive sewer extension update. I know that there was a request by a resident, basically similar to what the Pierce Road project is, to have a sewer extension done there. So we're going to start that process. I'll start reaching out to the residents, engage if we're going to have enough support. That's the first step, basically. So I've been speaking with Matt on that. we actually spoke on it yesterday, so we're going to get that process started.
So that, and then a project like that would have to be, we'd have to get the costs associated with that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we had a preliminary cost at one point. We just want to look at the numbers again, make sure that they're still valid, and we can go out to the residents.
The city water contract update, Matt and I again met yesterday. He got me up to speed on the history of this. I know that we had some discussion last month about, I guess, the process to get this moving forward. I did just receive the files from the prior town attorney, so I'm going through those too and trying to piece together where we left off so that we can get that discussion started again and get hopefully that moving along. Dish Network, I'm working with them. They've been in contact with me, so I believe probably possibly for next month we'll have more of an update on that, but they have reached out and we have been communicating. And then town code changes regarding illegal dumping, we're still working on that because as we had that discussion last month, it's kind of developed into a multi-department request to have changes to that. The police department's been involved. Laura's department has been involved in requesting changes, so it won't just affect this committee, it's going to affect other committees, and it's going to be a little bit larger of a project than initially anticipated, but I think it's a good thing, and we're looking to move that forward as well. So hopefully by March, we'll have a little bit more going on with the code change, some proposed changes that we can at least bring to the committee and begin that discussion as far as any amendments or any changes that we want to have made before we go to a public hearing on it.
Well, good. I appreciate everybody's input. That's what we want to do, right? Try to get it done once and get everybody's input on it.
Absolutely.
Water and sewer maintenance issues or items. This was on the agenda last month. I'll take the blame for this. I made a mistake and gave the wrong quote to the attorney, to Elena when she did the resolution. It's actually cheaper and it's from a different vendor. So I will provide that. We'd have to modify we haven't made any purchases.
So we can just do a resolution to amend the prior resolution.
Right.
It's a few $100s cheaper from a different vendor.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Just an update on the Avon Crest North pump station repair. The work's complete. The station's up and running again on automatic. The residents were very patient, and we thank them for their understanding as we did the repair work. The maintenance contract for the SCADA software that we use. SCADA is a supervisory control and data acquisition. It's a software that we use to monitor our remote pump stations, and we also use it at our wastewater treatment plant. I have a quote from the company that we do annually, but we do have additional software now at the sewer plant. I just want to make sure that the quote that they provided covers the software at the plant. If it doesn't, or if it does, then I don't need a resolution. If it does and it goes over a certain dollar amount, I may need a resolution. So I just wanted to put that on there for now in case we do need it.
Okay.
But as of right now, it's a $1,600 cost, which we pay every year.
Right.
But I don't know if that may go up slightly, and if it does, it may require a resolution. We'd like to surplus some equipment and vehicles. We have 2 pickup trucks. One's a 05 and one's a 2002. And then we have a diesel, an old military diesel pump that we no longer use. So I'd like to deem those as surplus so we can put them on the auction. One of our pickup trucks, it's a service body truck, a 2015 Ford F-250, requires a new engine. There was an issue with one of the valves, and it was pulled into the piston and destroyed the engine. I have a cost of $7,672 to do that work. I think it's worthwhile. The truck only has 65,000 miles on it, and it is a service body, so it's not just a pickup truck.
That's low miles for that to happen, huh? Yeah, so it's worth putting the engine in it if the rest of the vehicle's in very good shape.
Yes. That's one of the advantages of storing the vehicles inside. They don't rust as much. Item F, we have an ad in the paper right now to hire a maintenance worker in the water and sewer crew. We are one person down from our traditional numbers and actively looking for applicants and interviewing them as they come in. And if I have a name prior to the agenda meeting, I'll move that forward. It was a budgeted position.
Okay.
The next item, the annual INI, the inflow and infiltration report that we give to DEC for, historically, we had a consent order on our sanitary sewer system dating back to the early 2000s for excessive flows from non-sanitary sewer, so rainwater, groundwater that was leaking into our sewer lines. As part of that, we had a inflow and infiltration reduction program. This should be the last year that we have to submit an annual report to the state. In completing the report, I went through and looked at some of the data that we have for flow at the plant over time, and I have a chart or a graph here I'll share with you, Bill. It shows the tremendous drop in peak flows at the plant during rainfall events, going from 9 or 7 million gallons a day down to less than 3 million gallons a day in some cases. So that saves a large amount of money and energy use at the plant, and it also saves us from future issues with DEC.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to thank and acknowledge all the work that our water and sewer maintenance crew has done to get us to this point. It's all the grouting projects, the relining projects, the manhole repair, all that work over time has gotten us to the point where we should have no longer any issues of DEC related to flow at the plant. I added one item here, just a bookkeeping, Ray. We had 9 water-related excavations in town roads for January. Number 5, utility billing. So we have the fourth quarter 2021 corporate utility warrant ready for approval by the town board. The wastewater treatment plant, the organic waste program update. Like I said, last month we had training a week and a half ago at the plant for our staff from ESG and digester management and some other topics. ESG will be on site on Tuesday next week to go over the existing equipment to just make sure that it's in perfect condition, ready to go to accept the organic waste. And we continue to get our digesters ready to go to take that waste.
And where are they with contracts, bringing us contracts?
I know they're actively working on it right now. I can request an update and forward any information I can get from them.
Thank you.
Water treatment plant, we're still in the final stages of design for the upgrade at the plant. We're still on track to be out to bid in March and do the construction this season. Recycling center, we're still looking for an attendant. We currently have one, but an additional one would be helpful for some backup and then some flexibility in the hours. And I have on here an executive session just to discuss just some staffing items. And that's all I have, unless there's anything else that people would like to add.
Anybody else have anything they need to add to the Water Sewer Engineering Committee? Seeing no one.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Again, we'll close this out, hopefully March 3rd. If not, we may change that meeting to the 2nd, but I will keep everybody updated on that. Okay. So that concludes this meeting. We're going to have a short executive session for some issues that Matt needs to discuss. Do we need a special
Someone needs to make a motion to enter into executive session.
I'll make
Yep.
a motion to enter an executive session pursuant to section 105, subsection 1F, to discuss the hiring, is that what you said? Personnel, employment-related matter.
Thank you, Elena.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Everybody in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.